Ma'am, you need to leave immediately. This bank doesn't serve your kind of clientele. The security guard's hand moved toward his radio. Dr. Alana Williams stood perfectly still, designer briefcase in hand. It was 2:47 p.m. on a Tuesday afternoon at Heritage Community Bank's flagship branch in downtown Chicago. The marble floors gleamed under crystal chandeliers. Alana had walked through these doors wearing a tailored charcoal suit, her steps confident and purposeful. She approached the premium banking counter. The young teller Jessica glanced up with barely concealed irritation. "Excuse me, regular customer service is over there." Jessica pointed toward the basic teller windows. "I need executive banking services," Alana said quietly. Jessica's eyebrows shot up. "Do you have an appointment?" These real-life stories happen more often than we'd like to admit. Black stories like this remind us why touching stories of injustice still matter today. Have you ever walked into a place you owned only to be treated like you didn't belong there? Assistant Manager Bradley Mitchell emerged from the back office. He was 35, clean-shaven, with the kind of confidence that came from never being questioned. His eyes swept over Alana dismissively. "Is there a problem here?" His voice carried across the banking floor, drawing attention from other customers. "No problem," Alana replied. "I'm requesting access to executive banking services." Bradley crossed his arms. "Are you sure you're in the right place? This is our premium services area." He spoke louder than necessary. "Do you have an appointment?" A young woman named Sarah Chen sat at a nearby table, ostensibly working on her laptop. She'd been documenting her day on Instagram Live when this interaction began. Her phone screen showed 47 viewers, quickly climbing to 127. "I don't need an appointment," Alana said, maintaining her calm tone. "Ma'am, we have protocols here." Bradley's voice grew more patronizing. "Premium banking requires significant account minimums. Are you familiar with our requirements?" Alana set her briefcase on the marble counter. The soft click echoed in the suddenly quiet space. "Perhaps you could explain them to me." The leather briefcase was monogrammed AW Heritage Community Bank Board of Directors, but Bradley wasn't looking at details. He was performing for his audience. "Look, I don't want to make this difficult," Bradley continued, "but executive banking starts at $250,000 in assets. We also require extensive documentation of income sources." He paused meaningfully. "Legitimate income sources." Sarah's viewer count hit 347. Comments began flooding in. "Is this really happening?" "Someone needs to record this. This is 2024, not 1954. Alana checked her phone. The screen showed multiple missed calls. General Counsel, Chief of Staff, Board Secretary. The time read 2:52 p.m. "The board meeting starts in exactly 43 minutes, Mr. Mitchell," she said quietly. Bradley frowned. "What board meeting?" "Never mind." Alana's voice remained steady. "About those protocols you mentioned." "Right." Bradley straightened, warming to his subject. "We need to verify identity, income, and legitimate business purposes. Some people try to use our services for questionable activities." Regional Manager Patricia Kane appeared beside Bradley. She was 43, sharp-eyed, and had clearly been briefed on the situation. What seems to be the issue, Patricia's tone suggested she already knew the answer. "This woman is requesting executive services without proper documentation," Bradley explained. "I'm trying to explain our requirements." Patricia nodded approvingly. "We have to be careful about suspicious activity. The regulators are very strict about know-your-customer requirements." Alana opened her wallet to retrieve her identification. A flash of platinum caught the light. An American Express Centurion card, visible for just a moment before she selected her driver's license. "Here's my identification," she said, sliding it across the marble surface. Patricia barely glanced at it. "We'll also need proof of funds employment verification and a detailed explanation of your business with Heritage Bank." The parking validation ticket peeked from Alana's briefcase, VIP Executive Garage Level P1. Only board members and C-suite executives had access to that garage. Sarah's live stream hit 891 viewers. The comments were becoming more heated. "This is discrimination, plain and simple. Someone call the news. What bank is this? They need to be exposed. I understand you have procedures," Alana said. "But I'm simply trying to access services at my own bank." "Your bank?" Bradley laughed. "Ma'am, this is Heritage Community Bank. We've been serving Chicago's business community for 75 years. "Yes," Alana replied. "I'm aware of the history." Patricia stepped closer. "Look, we're trying to be accommodating, but you're being evasive. If you can't provide proper documentation, we'll have to ask you to leave." District Manager Robert Hayes appeared on the teller's video screen. He'd been patched in from the regional office. His face filled the monitor behind the counter. "What's the situation?" Hayes demanded. "Individual requesting executive services without proper credentials," Patricia reported. "She's being uncooperative." Hayes nodded grimly. "Security protocols are clear. If someone can't verify their legitimate business need, they need to be removed." 2 security guards had positioned themselves near the exits. The elderly Mrs. Roosevelt, a longtime customer, watched from the seating area with growing concern. Young man Mrs. Roosevelt called to Bradley. "Perhaps you should check your records before making assumptions." Bradley ignored her. His attention was on his performance, on demonstrating his authority. "Ma'am," he addressed Alana, "you have 5 minutes to provide proper documentation, or we'll have to ask you to leave the premises." Alana's phone buzzed with a text message. She glanced at it briefly, then typed a quick response. Her fingers moved efficiently across the screen. "Code 7 initiate immediately." 5 minutes, she repeated thoughtfully. That should be sufficient. Sarah's viewer count reached 147. Someone had shared the stream link, and it was spreading across social media platforms. The hashtag Heritage Bank was beginning to trend locally. The tension in the marble-floored lobby was palpable. Other customers had stopped their transactions to watch. Some were clearly uncomfortable. Others seemed entertained by the drama. Alana stood perfectly still. Her briefcase positioned precisely on the counter. Her breathing was controlled. Her posture relaxed. She checked her phone again, 2:58 p.m. "Mr. Mitchell," she said quietly, "you might want to check your employee handbook page 47, section 3. Bradley's confident expression faltered slightly. "What about it?" "The section on customer service standards," Alana replied. "Particularly the part about treating all customers with dignity and respect." "I am treating you with respect," Bradley protested, though his volume suggested otherwise. "Are you?" Alana asked simply. The question hung in the air like a challenge. The next 15 minutes unfolded with the precision of a carefully orchestrated crisis. At 3:05 p.m., Bradley made his first critical error. "Security," he called loudly, "please escort this individual to the exit." The 2 guards exchanged glances. Head of Security, Marcus Thompson, had 23 years of experience, 15 with Heritage Bank. Something about this situation felt wrong, but his protocol was clear support management decisions. Sarah's Instagram Live had exploded to 247 viewers. Comments scrolled past faster than anyone could read. "This is insane. Someone knows who she is. Check the briefcase. That's a board member briefcase. Why isn't anyone helping her?" Mrs. Roosevelt stood from her chair. At 78, she'd banked with Heritage for 4 decades. Her husband had been on the original board of directors. "Excuse me," she called across the lobby. "This is not how we treat customers." Patricia Kane spun around. "Ma'am, please don't interfere. This is a security matter." "Security matter." Mrs. Roosevelt's voice carried the authority of someone who'd seen decades of change. "That young woman has done nothing but ask for service." Bradley was now fully committed to his performance. The audience of customers and staff fed his conviction that he was protecting the bank's interests. Mrs. Roosevelt, I appreciate your concern, but we have procedures for a reason. He turned back to Alana. Ma'am, I'm going to count to 10. If you don't provide proper documentation, security will remove you. Alana opened her briefcase. The soft leather hinges made no sound, but every eye in the lobby tracked the movement. Inside, organized with military precision, were documents, a tablet, and what appeared to be access cards. She withdrew a business card and placed it on the marble counter. Bradley glanced at it dismissively. Anyone can have business cards printed. The card read, Dr. Alana Williams, Chief Executive Officer, Heritage Community Bank. Patricia leaned over to look. Her face went pale. That's impossible, she whispered. Is it? Alana asked quietly. The time was 3:12 p.m. Sarah's viewer count hit 3,591. Someone in the comments had started researching. OMG, guys, Google Dr. Alana Williams Heritage Bank. She's the actual CEO. They just kicked out their own boss. This is about to get real. Marcus Thompson stepped closer. His radio crackled with an incoming message. Security, please report to the front desk, priority 1. The voice belonged to Chief of Staff Ellen Rodriguez, calling from the executive floor 47 stories above. Marcus keyed his radio. Thompson here, situation in main lobby with is Dr. Williams present. Ellen's voice cut through the static. Marcus looked directly at Alana. For the first time, really looked at her. The composed posture, the expensive briefcase, the platinum card barely visible in her wallet, the VIP parking validation. Yes, ma'am, she's here. Stand down immediately, all personnel stand down. Bradley hadn't heard the radio exchange. He was focused on his countdown, on his moment of authority. 765 Robert Hayes' face still filled the video monitor. Proceed with removal if necessary, he instructed from his regional office. We can't appear weak on security protocols. Mrs. Roosevelt moved closer. Young man, you're making a terrible mistake. Or 3. Alana withdrew her tablet from the briefcase. The Heritage Bank executive portal appeared on screen, displaying her authenticated login, a Williams CEO. Patricia saw it first, her knees nearly buckled. Bradley, she whispered urgently, stop counting. 2. Bradley. Patricia's voice cracked with panic, but Bradley was committed. He'd counted too far to back down gracefully. His audience was watching, his authority was on the line. Mr. Mitchell, Alana said quietly, I suggest you look at this screen. The tablet displayed her executive dashboard, real-time bank performance metrics, board meeting schedules, regulatory compliance reports. Her authenticated CEO access credentials were clearly visible. The lobby fell silent, except for the soft hum of air conditioning and the distant sound of traffic from Michigan Avenue. Bradley stared at the screen. His face cycled through confusion, recognition, and dawning horror. Sarah's live stream had reached 156 viewers. The comments were erupting. She's the CEO. They're so fired, this is the best thing I've ever seen. Screen recording this for evidence. At 3:18 p.m., 3 people in dark suits entered through the main doors. They moved with the quiet efficiency of lawyers arriving at a crime scene. Ellen Rodriguez, Chief of Staff, led the group. Behind her walked General Counsel Maria Santos and Compliance Director James Wright. The cavalry had arrived. Marcus Thompson immediately recognized Ellen. His hand moved to his radio, but she shook her head slightly. The situation was beyond radio protocol now. Dr. Williams, Ellen said, her voice carrying across the marble expanse. I apologize for the delay. The board meeting has been moved to the executive conference room. Bradley opened his mouth, then closed it. No words came. Patricia Kane had gone completely white. She'd worked for Heritage Bank for 12 years. She knew exactly who Ellen Rodriguez was, and she knew that Ellen only appeared for the most serious situations. "There's been a misunderstanding," Patricia began weakly. "Has there Ellen's voice could have cut glass?" Mrs. Roosevelt walked over to Alana. "My dear, I'm so sorry. This is not the Heritage Bank I've known for 40 years. "Thank you, Mrs. Roosevelt," Alana replied warmly. "Your words mean more than you know." The elderly woman looked directly at Bradley. "Young man, my late husband helped found this bank. He's probably rolling in his grave right now." Sarah's viewer count had reached 5,243. Local news outlets were beginning to pick up the story through social media monitoring. 3 different Twitter accounts with journalist in their bios had requested to use her footage. Robert Hayes was still on the video monitor, but his confident demeanor had evaporated. Someone at the regional office had clearly briefed him on developments. "Dr. Williams," his voice came through the speakers. There seems to have been a communication breakdown." Alana looked directly at the camera. "Mr. Hayes, we'll discuss communication breakdowns in detail very soon. The time was 3:23 p.m. The board meeting was scheduled for 3:30 p.m. But Alana had a different timeline in mind now. She typed a message on her tablet. Board meeting moved to 4:00 p.m. Emergency session, full attendance required. Ellen nodded and began making calls. James Wright, the compliance director, was already documenting everything. His tablet captured timestamps, witness names, and regulatory implications. The Fair Housing Act, Equal Credit Opportunity Act, and Community Reinvestment Act all had specific provisions about discriminatory treatment. The FDIC took such violations very seriously. "Mr. Mitchell," Alana said finally, "you mentioned protocols. Let's discuss those in detail, all of them." Bradley's career at Heritage Bank had exactly 37 minutes remaining, though he didn't know it yet. At 3:25 p.m., Dr. Alana Williams opened her briefcase completely. The organized contents told a story that Bradley Mitchell was only beginning to comprehend. Board meeting agendas, regulatory correspondence, executive reports, and a lanyard with her CEO identification badge lay arranged with military precision. She lifted the badge and clipped it to her suit jacket. The Heritage Bank logo gleamed under the crystal chandeliers. Below it, in clear lettering, Dr. Alana Williams, Chief Executive Officer. Sarah's Instagram Live had reached 6,892 viewers. The comment stream had become a river of shocked reactions. "No freaking way she's been the CEO this whole time. They literally just discriminated against their own boss. This is going viral for sure." Bradley stared at the badge. His brain struggled to process what his eyes were seeing. This couldn't be real. CEOs didn't just walk into branches unannounced. They had assistant security details, advanced teams. "That's impossible," he stammered. "Is it?" Alana asked. Her voice remained calm, but there was steel beneath the silk now. Ellen Rodriguez approached the group. "Dr. Williams, the executive team is assembling. Legal is reviewing the footage from the past 30 minutes. Footage." Patricia's voice was barely a whisper. James Wright looked up from his tablet. "All Heritage Bank locations have continuous video surveillance. Everything that happened here has been recorded in high definition with full audio." The color drained from Bradley's face. Maria Santos, General Counsel, joined the conversation. "We also have multiple social media documentation, witness statements, and time-stamped evidence of discriminatory treatment." She looked directly at Bradley and Patricia. "The Fair Housing Act of 1968, as amended, specifically prohibits discrimination in banking services based on race, color, religion, or national origin. The Equal Credit Opportunity Act extends these protections further." Mrs. Roosevelt had remained near the group, witnessing history unfold. "In my 40 years with this bank, I've never seen anything like this," she said, shaking her head. Marcus Thompson, the head of security, approached Alana directly. "Dr. Williams, I want to apologize. If I had recognized you immediately, Mr. Thompson." Alana interrupted gently. "You were following the instructions of your supervisors. This isn't about recognition. It's about how we treat all customers." Robert Hayes's voice crackled through the video monitor speakers. "Dr. Williams, there's clearly been a misunderstanding. Perhaps we could handle this internally." "Mr. Hayes." Alana's voice cut through his attempt at damage control. "We'll be discussing your role in this situation. I suggest you review the video footage of your instructions to proceed with removal if necessary." The regional office had gone silent. Bradley finally found his voice. "I had no idea, ma'am." "Dr. Williams, I was just following protocols." "No, Mr. Mitchell, you weren't following protocols. You were following assumptions." Alana's tone remained measured, but her words carried devastating precision. "Tell me what specific protocol requires you to question a customer's legitimate business need based on their appearance." Bradley opened his mouth, then closed it. There was no protocol for what he'd done. "What policy allows you to demand proof of legitimate income sources from someone requesting basic banking services?" Silence. "Which section of the employee handbook authorizes you to speak loudly about a customer's creditworthiness in front of other patrons?" Patricia tried to intervene. "Dr. Williams, we were trying to protect the bank's interests." "Where are you?" Alana turned her attention to the regional manager. "Mr. Kane, you've been with Heritage for 12 years. In that time, how many white customers have you required to prove their income was legitimate before opening an account?" Patricia's silence was answer enough. The tablet in Alana's hands chimed with incoming data. "Mr. Wright, what do our discrimination complaint statistics show for the past 6 months?" James Wright consulted his device. "Customer complaints citing discriminatory treatment have increased 47% compared to the same period last year. We currently have 3 pending lawsuits alleging racial discrimination in lending practices with combined damages sought of $2, $300, $1,000, 0 cents. The numbers hit like physical blows." "A Community Reinvestment Act rating," Alana continued. "Under review, the FDIC has noted areas of concern regarding equitable service delivery. Sarah's viewer count had crossed 8,000. Someone had shared the stream link on Twitter, where Harita's bank was trending nationally. Local news outlets were dispatching crews. Ellen Rodriguez's phone buzzed with urgent messages. "Dr. Williams, Channel 7 News is requesting a statement. The Tribune wants an interview. Social media mentions are spiking across all platforms." At 3:32 p.m., Alana made a decision that would reshape Heritage Bank's future. "Mr. Rodriguez, please contact all board members. Emergency session at 4 a.m., clock p.m., full attendance required." She paused, looking around the marble lobby. "And contact our crisis management team. We're going to need them." She turned to Maria Santos. "What's our legal exposure?" "Significant," the general counsel replied. "Federal civil rights violations, potential class action liability, regulatory sanctions. The FDIC could impose penalties ranging from fines to operational restrictions. The stock market wouldn't open until the next morning, but after-hours trading would reflect the crisis. Heritage Bank's share price was about to take a hit." "Mr. Thompson." Alana addressed the security chief. "Please escort Mr. Mitchell and Ms. Kane to the executive floor. They'll be participating in the board meeting." Bradley's legs nearly gave out. "The board meeting." "Yes, Mr. Mitchell, you wanted to discuss protocols. We're going to discuss them in detail, all of them." Mrs. Roosevelt approached Alana one final time. "My dear, I've seen a lot of changes in my years, but watching you handle this with such grace, your parents raised you right. Thank you, Mrs. Roosevelt. That means everything. The elderly woman looked at Bradley with sad disappointment. Young man, you had a chance to serve someone remarkable today. Instead, you chose to judge her. That's not just poor customer service, that's poor character. Sarah ended her Instagram live at 3:37 p.m. Her final viewer count, 9,847. The footage had been screen recorded by dozens of viewers and was already spreading across multiple platforms. She approached Alana before leaving. Ma'am, Dr. Williams, I just want to say that what I witnessed here was wrong, but watching you handle it was inspiring. Thank you for bearing witness, Alana replied. Sometimes that's the most important thing we can do. As the main lobby cleared, Alana stood alone for a moment in the space where her leadership had been questioned. The marble floors reflected the crystal chandeliers above. The Heritage Bank logo on the wall proclaimed 75 years of service to the community. Ellen Rodriguez approached. Dr. Williams, the executive elevators are waiting. In a moment, Alana walked to the customer service area, where Jessica, the young teller, stood frozen behind her window. Jessica, she said gently. The young woman looked up with tears in her eyes. Dr. Williams, I'm so sorry. I should have recognized you. I should have, Jessica. You did nothing wrong. You directed me to what you believed was the appropriate service area. That's not discrimination. That's confusion about process. Alana paused. But what happened after that? That's what we need to change. At 3:42 p.m., Dr. Alana Williams entered the executive elevator. The board meeting would begin in 18 minutes. But the real reckoning was just beginning. The 47th floor of Heritage Bank Tower buzzed with the controlled chaos of a corporate crisis. At 3:55 p.m., the executive conference room filled with the most powerful people in Chicago banking. 12 board members took their seats around the polished mahogany table. Legal counsel occupied the side chairs. HR Director Margaret Foster sat beside Chief Compliance Officer James Wright, both reviewing documents with grim efficiency. Dr. Alana Williams entered at exactly 4:00 p.m., followed by Bradley Mitchell and Patricia Kane, who looked like they were walking to their own executions. Marcus Thompson had escorted them upstairs in the most uncomfortable elevator ride of their careers. Neither had spoken a word. Board Chairman David Sterling called the emergency session to order. At 68, he'd served Heritage Bank for 32 years and had never convened a meeting under these circumstances. Ladies and gentlemen, we're here to address a serious incident that occurred in our flagship branch approximately 1 hour ago. His voice carried the weight of impending catastrophe. Dr. Williams will brief us on the situation. Alana activated the room's presentation system. The first slide displayed real-time social media analytics. Instagram Live viewers, 9,847 peak concurrent. Twitter mentions of Heritage Bank 47,000 in 2 hours. Facebook shares of incident footage 12,000 and climbing. YouTube uploads of screen recordings 23 different channels. The numbers speak for themselves, she began. What started as customer service has become a public relations nightmare. Board member Catherine Liu, who headed the Risk Management Committee, leaned forward. What exactly happened? The main screen switched to security footage from the bank lobby. Timestamp 2:47 p.m. They watched in silence as events unfolded. Alana's calm professionalism, Bradley's escalating aggression, Patricia's supportive discrimination, the moment when customers began recording. When the footage ended, the conference room remained silent for 30 seconds. Jesus Christ, whispered Board Member Robert Chen. The legal implications are severe. Maria Santos began her analysis. We have clear documentation of discriminatory treatment in violation of multiple federal statutes. She displayed a comprehensive legal breakdown. Federal violations, Fair Housing Act of 1968 as amended. Equal Credit Opportunity Act of 1974. Community Reinvestment Act of 1977. Potential penalties. FDIC fines $50,000 to $500,000 per violation. Civil lawsuits, unlimited damages, regulatory sanctions, operating restrictions, or license suspension, current financial exposure. Existing discrimination lawsuits, $300,000 in claim damages. New potential class action, $1,500, $0 million estimated exposure. Crisis management costs $340,000 for immediate response. Stock price impact projected 8 to 12% decline at market open. Board member Jennifer Walsh, who chaired the audit committee, addressed Bradley directly. Mr. Mitchell, can you explain your actions? Bradley stood shakily. His confidence had evaporated completely. I thought I was following protocol. We're supposed to verify customers and prevent suspicious activity. What made Dr. Williams's presence suspicious? Walsh pressed. She didn't look like. Bradley's voice trailed off as he realized the trap. Didn't look like what Mr. Mitchell silence. Patricia Kane tried to support her subordinate. We deal with fraud attempts regularly. We have to be careful about people claiming to need executive services. Ms. Kane interrupted General Counsel Santos. In your 12 years with Heritage, how many actual fraud attempts have you encountered involving someone claiming to be a bank executive? None. How many times have you demanded that white customers prove their income was legitimate before providing standard services? Patricia's face flushed. That's not, I don't think. The answer is 0. Santos continued mercilessly. We have your complete service record. You've never once questioned the legitimacy of a white customer's income source. The data was devastating. James Wright presented the statistical analysis. Customer service patterns. Heritage Flagship Branch. Average service time for white customers, 4.2 minutes. Average service time for black customers, 12.7 minutes. Requests for additional documentation, white customers, 47% of transaction. Security called for disruptive behavior, all races incidents in 12 months. Security called for suspicious activity, 67 incidents in 12 months. These numbers represent systematic discriminatory practices, Wright concluded. Not isolated incidents. Board member Thomas Anderson, former federal prosecutor, leaned back in his chair. This isn't just about today's incident. This is about institutional culture. Chairman Sterling addressed the room. The question before us is simple. How do we respond? Alana stood and walked to the presentation screen. We have 3 options, she began. Each has different consequences. Option 1, minimize and cover internal discipline only. Private settlement with potential lawsuits. Hope social media attention fades. Continue current practices with minor adjustments. This option protects short-term stock price, but guarantees long-term catastrophe, she explained. The federal regulators are already reviewing our CRA compliance. Minimizing this incident would confirm their worst suspicions. Option 2, partial reform. Terminate involved employees. Implement basic sensitivity training. Public apology from regional management. Minor policy adjustments. This option satisfies immediate public pressure, but doesn't address systemic issues. We'd face the same crisis again within months. Option 3, complete transformation. Comprehensive policy overhaul. Industry-leading bias training program. Community investment initiative. Third-party compliance monitoring. Executive accountability measures. This option is expensive and disruptive, Alana admitted. But it's the only path to legitimate long-term stability. Board member Lisa Martinez raised her hand. What are the financial implications of Option 3? CFO Ronald Park consulted his projections. Initial implementation costs $2, $400,000 €6 over 6 months. Ongoing compliance program, $800,000 annually. Community Investment Fund, $500,000 initial commitment. Compare that to our current legal exposure, Alana said. We're looking at potential damages of $50 million or more if this becomes a class action lawsuit. She advanced to the next slide, showing similar cases. Wells Fargo discrimination settlement, $175 million, 2012. Bank of America lending bias penalty, $335 million, 2011. A Trustmark National Bank Fair, lending violation, $5 million, 2015. We can pay for reform now or pay for lawsuits later, she concluded. The choice is ours. Robert Hayes appeared on the video conference screen from the regional office. His face was pale and drawn. Mr. Hayes' chairman Sterling addressed him. You instructed branch personnel to proceed with removing Dr. Williams from the premises. Explain. Hayes shifted uncomfortably. I was supporting our managers based on their assessment of the situation. I didn't have complete information. You had video feed, Alana interrupted. You could see exactly what was happening. You chose to escalate rather than de-escalate. The room fell silent as the implications sank in. Regional management had actively supported discriminatory treatment. Margaret Foster, the HR director, presented termination recommendation. Immediate terminations. Bradley Mitchell, discriminatory conduct violation of customer service standards. Patricia Kane, supporting discrimination failure of management oversight. Robert Hayes, escalating discriminatory treatment disciplinary actions. Marcus Thompson, security warning for delayed recognition of situation. Remedial training, no disciplinary action. Board member Catherine Liu asked the critical question. Dr. Williams, what's your recommendation? Alana looked around the table at the faces of Heritage Bank's leadership. Some appeared concerned, others calculating, a few genuinely ashamed. Gentlemen and ladies, we're not just making a business decision today. We're defining who Heritage Bank will be for the next 75 years. She paused, letting the weight of history settle on the room. I recommend option 3, complete transformation. We become the industry leader in equitable banking, or we accept that discrimination is part of our business model. The vote was unanimous 12 to no in favor of comprehensive reform. At 5:23 p.m., Bradley Mitchell's employment with Heritage Bank officially ended. Patricia Kane and Robert Hayes followed within the hour, but the real work was just beginning. Within 24 hours of the board meeting, Heritage Bank had transformed from crisis to industry leadership. The speed of change reflected both the severity of the situation and the organization's capacity for decisive action. Dr. Alana Williams stood in the same marble lobby where she'd been threatened with removal. It was 8:00 a.m. Wednesday morning, and the flagship branch buzzed with purposeful activity. The first change was visible immediately. A diverse team of compliance officers stationed throughout the customer service area, observing interactions and ensuring equitable treatment. Each wore a discrete badge identifying them as customer service advocates. Margaret Foster, HR Director, addressed the assembled staff. Every Heritage Bank employee will complete 40 hours of bias awareness training within the next 30 days. This isn't punishment, it's professional development. The Heritage Equity app had launched at midnight an anonymous reporting system that allowed customers and employees to document discriminatory treatment in real time. The app connected directly to Dr. Williams's office and the legal department. Transparency builds trust, explained James Wright, showing the app's features to gathered journalists. Customers can report concerns immediately, and we can respond within hours instead of months. Sarah Chin had returned to the bank, this time, as an invited guest, rather than an accidental witness. Local media wanted her first-hand account of Tuesday's events. What impressed me most, she told Channel 7 News, wasn't just how Dr. Williams handled the discrimination. It was how she turned a crisis into positive change so quickly. The Community Investment Fund had grown beyond the initial $500,000 0 cents commitment. Board members had contributed personal funds, bringing the total to $1,200,000 0 cents for minority-owned business loans and financial literacy programs. Mrs. Roosevelt sat in the executive customer area meeting with Alana personally. At 78, she'd witnessed decades of social change, but rarely seen transformation this rapid. "My dear, in 40 years of banking here, I've never been prouder to be a Heritage customer," she said. "You've honored your name and your position beautifully." The statistical changes were already measurable. Wright presented the morning's data Tuesday via Wednesday metrics. Average customer service time equalized at 5.1 minutes across all demographics. Additional documentation requests down 73% for all customers. Customer satisfaction scores up 89% from previous week. Employee confidence ratings up 45% after emergency training sessions. The new policies went far beyond federal requirements. Heritage Bank equity standards, quarterly bias audits by independent third parties. Customer service times monitored and reported monthly. Executive compensation tied to diversity and inclusion metrics. Mandatory community advisory board with rotating membership. Bradley Mitchell had spent Tuesday night in his apartment, watching news coverage of his termination. Local stations had picked up Sarah's Instagram footage, and his behavior was being analyzed on multiple platforms. Wednesday morning brought an unexpected phone call from Dr. Williams's office. Mr. Mitchell Ellen Rodriguez's voice was professional, but not unkind. "Dr. Williams would like to offer you an opportunity for personal growth." The opportunity was enrollment in a comprehensive diversity education program fully funded by Heritage Bank. 6 months of intensive training, counseling, and community service with guaranteed job placement upon successful completion. "It's not about punishment," Alana explained when they met that afternoon. "It's about transformation. You have a choice. Learn from this experience or let it define you negatively." Bradley accepted the program. His first assignment was volunteering at Southside financial literacy workshops, helping families understand banking services without judgment or assumptions. Patricia Kane received a similar offer, though she declined. Her 12-year career at Heritage Bank ended with a standard termination package and a recommendation that she seek diversity training independently. Robert Hayes faced the harshest consequences. His regional position was eliminated, and his behavior during the crisis became a case study in management training programs across the banking industry. The FDIC investigation concluded within 2 weeks. Rather than penalties, Heritage Bank received commendation for its rapid response and comprehensive reforms. The Community Reinvestment Act rating improved from needs improvement to satisfactory within 60 days. Stock price impact was minimal. Initial after-hours trading showed a 3.2% decline, but by Friday morning, shares had recovered and gained 1.7%, as investors recognized the crisis management effectiveness. Jessica, the young teller, flourished under the new system. Her natural empathy, properly channeled through training, made her the branch's top-rated customer service representative within a month. Marcus Thompson implemented new security protocols emphasizing de-escalation and cultural sensitivity. His 23 years of experience combined with enhanced training made him a model for security professionals throughout the banking industry. The 3 pending discrimination lawsuits were settled within 6 weeks. Plaintiffs praised Heritage Bank's transformative response, and their attorney publicly commended the organization's commitment to change. Dr. Williams established monthly community forums where customers could discuss banking experiences directly with executive leadership. The first session drew over 200 attendees, including many who'd witnessed Tuesday's events. Change doesn't happen in boardrooms, she told the gathered community members. It happens when we commit to treating every person with dignity, regardless of assumptions or appearances. The heritage transformation became a Harvard Business School case study within 3 months. Dr. Williams was invited to speak at banking industry conferences across the nation, sharing the model for rapid organizational change. But the most meaningful change was quieter, more personal. Every day, customers entered the marble lobby and received respectful, equitable service regardless of their appearance, accent, or perceived wealth. The lobby where discrimination had flourished became a symbol of institutional transformation. 6 months later, Dr. Alana Williams stood before the American Bankers Association's annual conference in Miami. The ballroom held over 3,000 banking executives from across the nation. Her presentation title, From Crisis to Culture, Leading Institutional Change in Real Time. The Heritage Bank transformation had become legendary in banking circles not just for its speed, but for its authenticity. Other institutions were implementing similar programs, creating a ripple effect across the financial industry. Leadership isn't about avoiding mistakes, she told the assembled executives. It's about how we respond when our values are tested. The statistics spoke volumes. Heritage Bank 6-month results. Customer satisfaction up 127% across all demographic groups. New account openings increased 89% in underserved communities. Employee retention improved 76% following culture change. Community investment, $800,000, deployed in minority business loans. Industry recognition, awarded banking excellence and diversity by 3 professional organizations. Sarah Chen had parlayed her accidental documentation into a career in social justice journalism. Her Instagram account, now followed by 847,000 people, continued highlighting stories of discrimination and positive change. She'd interviewed Dr. Williams multiple times, always asking the same final question. What would you tell someone facing discrimination today? Document everything. Find your voice. Remember that silence enables injustice, but speaking truth creates change. Mrs. Roosevelt had become Heritage Bank's unofficial community ambassador. At 79, she attended every community forum, sharing stories of the bank's transformation with neighbors and friends. I've seen a lot of history, she often said. But watching one person's courage change an entire institution, that's something special. The Heritage Equity app had processed over 12,000 interactions with a 97% positive resolution rate. Other banks were licensing the technology, creating industry-wide accountability standards. Bradley Mitchell completed his diversity education program and found employment with a community development organization. His experience at Heritage Bank had become a catalyst for personal growth, though the journey remained difficult. I learned that good intentions don't excuse harmful actions, he said in a video testimonial. Dr. Williams showed me that true leadership means acknowledging mistakes and working to prevent others from making them. The flagship branch had become a destination for banking professionals studying equitable service delivery. Tours were available twice weekly, led by Jessica, who'd been promoted to customer experience specialist. Marcus Thompson had been featured in Security Management magazine, sharing protocols for cultural sensitivity in corporate security. His approach was being adopted by Fortune 500 companies nationwide. The transformation extended beyond Heritage Bank. Industry-wide changes included federal banking regulators adopting Heritage's bias audit standards, 20 major banks implementing similar equity apps, Banking Association developing mandatory diversity training requirements, community investment funds increasing by 47 million cents across participating institution. Dr. Williams's influence reached beyond banking. She'd been appointed to the Federal Reserve's Community Advisory Council, helping shape national policy on equitable financial services. But perhaps the most significant change was immeasurable. The daily interactions between banking professionals and customers who might have been judged dismissed or discriminated against in the past. These touching stories of transformation remind us why Black stories and life stories like Dr. Williams's matter. Real-life stories of courage and leadership create the change we need in our communities. Every day, someone walks into a business school or organization where they might not be welcomed. Every day, someone has the choice to perpetuate bias or challenge it. Dr. Williams's story proves that one person's response to injustice can transform entire institutions. What injustices have you witnessed? What discrimination have you experienced? Share your stories in the comments below. Your voice matters. Your experience can inspire change. Subscribe for more life stories that prove justice and intelligence can overcome prejudice and ignorance. Share this video with someone who needs to see that positive change is possible. Together we create the world where everyone receives the dignity and respect they deserve.